Good evening. I'm Eric Linthwaite. I live in Vancouver, Washington. I speak to you tonight as a private citizen, as well as a parent of 2 children over at Discovery and Odyssey. I've taught history, government, and current events at Camas High School for nearly 20 years. So last week was initially a fascinating and then ultimately a heartbreaking opportunity to see all 3 of those subjects unfolding right in front of my eyes in real life. I grew up in a military household, so I don't usually pay attention to my emotions, and I try to suppress them as much as possible in my day-to-day. But these recent events are tying my mind and body in knots. I'm an ugly tangle of feelings, and I really am having a hard time ignoring them. I'm angry, I'm scared, I'm disgusted, I'm horrified. I feel like much of what I teach has been revealed to be a little more than a lie. I teach that the most cherished of American rights is the freedom to speak on public affairs, and that is a right that is limited in only the most extreme of circumstances. And yet what's played out shows how patently false that is. In reality, in Camas, a mob can call for the head of a public servant for expressing, in private, a personal and reasonable opinion on a public figure, and the leaders of this community will obligingly swing the axe and then expect the blood-soaked eyewitnesses to simply take a shower and resume life like nothing happened. This at a time, too, when our nation's president can say things far worse on camera and on Twitter and be cheered for it by half the country. It's positively Orwellian. We are told we have rights, we just can't use them. We are told we can think what we like, but just don't dare say it. I've taught McCarthyism as long dead history. I've taught Chinese and Russian totalitarianism. I've taught Louis XVI and the guillotine. Yet I never expected to see something so reminiscent in real life, in America, in the halls of my own school. And what's happening here is just the tip of a big, fat, ugly iceberg, and our country is hurtling towards it. How can we turn this out-of-control ship around? I honestly don't know. In closing, I'd like to mention a sign that's on the front door of my classroom. We were asked this year to put our core values as humans and as teachers there for our students to see. Mine was already posted there, though, as it's been there since I first started teaching back in 1998. I went to the University of Virginia, founded by Thomas Jefferson 201 years ago, expressly for the purpose of creating citizens capable of making the American dream of a republic a reality. In every classroom at UVA, Jefferson's motto is prominently posted. Adapted from numerous of his private letters, it is today the official raison d'etre of the university. Quote, "This institution is based on the illimitable freedom of the human mind, for here we are not afraid to follow truth wherever it may lead, nor to tolerate any error so long as reason is free to combat it," unquote. Jefferson meant that in a republic like ours, we must be able to discuss anything of potential value to the people, no matter how harebrained or controversial it might sound, and that no harm can come from an idea so long as citizens are free to speak in opposition to it. Jefferson meant that logic and reason were better than raised voices and animalistic rage. I desperately want to believe that that's how America works, but now I'm unsure if it's true. Please help me make it so. I have to believe that citizens of conscience can build, with their thoughts and their goodwill, the world they wish to live in. Thank you for listening.
Hello, I'm Cory Marshall. I live on Nakata Street in Camas. I work at CHS, but I'm also the head CEA representative of the building. And tonight I'm speaking as a private citizen, though. Last week I saw some tremendous examples of respect, teamwork, compassion, and empathy at Camas High School. I saw groups of police officers posing for photos and having discussions with students ranging from serious topics such as what their job is like, to goofy topics like whether they have any sticker badges. I heard students ask rational, mature questions about the principal, such as, what does the Constitution even say about things like this? And what does our principal actually do at the school? What is the role of a principal? I had neighbors stopping me while I walked dogs to ask whether everybody's okay, is everything okay at the school, and share their thoughts on the matter. There were many, many opportunities to see silver linings in last week's chaos. However, we also saw the pathetic, immature side of our town once again rise up, the social media monsters. Since Prop 2 last year, the number of people in our community who have found social media to be their chosen weapon to spread fear and hate has grown. It continued earlier this month with people attacking each other over a private business and a cell phone tower. And last week, for the 3rd time in 3 months, we saw the monster rise again. Facebook, Twitter, and Nextdoor became a place for people to talk viciously and dangerously while expressing their anger over someone posting something they ironically consider vicious and dangerous. While I volunteered in the attendance office last week, I saw many, many respectful parents come in, but I also had to intervene when parents felt that yelling at student TAs was appropriate. And of course, we had an entire lockdown because a parent cherry-picked which students they thought might be dangerous, based on those students wearing a big jacket in February and big backpacks to high school. We have all chosen to be educators in our community. This week, we need to be educators of our community. I asked that the Camas School Board and Camas School District do something very difficult, that they send a respectful but stern message to our community about the way that everyone acted this week. As Dr. Snell has rightfully pointed out many times, our students and staff were put in a position that none of us asked for. That position did not start with the parents and community members of our district, but they did have a hand in allowing hateful actions and not just rhetoric to grow to enormous proportions. They need to be educated, they need to be instructed, if for no other reason than to allow the silent members of our community a voice to help combat the negative message that are taking over our town. Please consider sending a message of education to our community. Someone has to begin the healing process, and there's no reason it shouldn't be us. With the final 37 seconds, I also want to say that we're going to be talking to our students and staff about doing this something similar or working with something like that in the next couple of weeks, as well as I wanted to take an opportunity to very sincerely thank everybody in the district office who came over this week. I know that their to-do list did not die down just because they came over and helped us out, but it was greatly needed, greatly appreciated, and I wanted to convey thanks on my behalf. Thank you.
I'm Lindsay Peters. I live in Vancouver, Washington. I also teach at CHS, and I'm a Camas parent, but speaking as a private citizen tonight. So the events of the last week at CHS, but here in Camas, have left me heartbroken. And heartbreak is, of course, always multifaceted. I'm angry at the response of our community, the vicious attacks. I'm saddened by what I see as the district's lack of public support for Dr. Sejkora. I'm devastated for Liza and her family. So a week ago, Liza issued her apology, the first of many, and Dr. Snell issued a statement saying, "We do appreciate Dr. Sejkora's acknowledgement and will work to support her in rebuilding trust with the community she serves." Now, I've been told since I started working in the district 10 years ago that here in the Camas School District, we are family and that we're all in this together. And so when Dr. Snell released that statement, I thought, well, of course, because that's what family does. But it seems that after that, pitchforks and torches were pulled from back closets and that statement was forgotten. And it's the abandonment of that statement that's left me feeling like that family that I really did believe in was a sham the whole time. So I don't know who I would be as a person or an educator if I didn't believe in speaking up for those who are made voiceless. So I'd like to speak quickly to the good that Dr. Sejkora has done, because I don't feel that anybody else has. Liza made it her mission to make CHS an inclusive school for every single one of our students from the moment that she got here. She supported the adoption of new texts by more diverse authors, even as there was pushback from teachers and parents in our community. She encouraged and oversaw the first teacher-led equity team at CHS and put together a panel of students that she met with regularly so they could talk to her about issues that were important to them, and she was always looking for ways to give students a voice. She asked us to examine our grading practices and offered high-quality PD to those of us who wanted it so that we could make sure our grading reflected student learning rather than privilege or preference. She allowed teachers to bother her at all hours of the day and sometimes night if you were able to get a phone number, to just listen. She was always available. And most importantly, she made it clear from the day that she got here that she was passionate about doing what's best for kids, plain and simple. But I feel like a week ago, we decided that one sentence and none of that actually mattered. She was not perfect and she didn't please everyone, but no public servant ever is or ever does. But she was good and she deserved better. And I'm left with the unshakable regret of knowing that as a town and a district and a school, we could have done better. Thank you for listening.
My name's Raudig. I teach at Camas High School. I don't have anything written down, so I'll probably bumble a little bit. I don't write much stuff down. I'm not upset with anybody. I have a tremendous amount of respect for everybody in the room. The week felt like it got out of control in a hurry, and then it stayed out of control. The one thing I guess I would ask or think about is, much like when I get into a giant argument with my son or with my wife or with a coworker or whatever it is, that oftentimes that time that passes between then and sleep and whenever it is allows for a different perspective. And I don't think anybody here was ready for what happened here. I don't know that the community or you all as a school board or us as teachers or administratively, anybody could have done anything any different or any better than we did necessarily. Because I'm not sure anybody was prepared for it, but I think that leaves me with pause, is that we all know what's possible now and how fast these things go. And if I was gonna offer some quick thing, because this board meeting still feels too new. Cory did a great job this afternoon at CHS trying to process the fact that a lot of people felt a lot of different ways. And I think the community felt a lot of different ways. Social media is a problem. If it's not handled properly, a lot of things happen. It feels like the thing was too fast. I don't blame anybody for making things happen as fast as they could, for Liza, for resigning, whether that was the right thing to do, for whatever all of that is. I don't have any ill will or any bad feelings about that. But it feels like maybe in this time of pacing, that maybe they're moving forward in things like this, in giant public things, that if there was some policy to slow the thing down, to somehow slow it down, that the expectation for the community was that it's not gonna get resolved in 1 or 2 news cycles. This is gonna be a month, this is gonna be 2 weeks. Everybody's gonna get talked to. It doesn't matter how long or how uncomfortable it is for whoever the angriest or the least angry voice is, there's going to be time. And I don't think we were ready for that, and I don't, but I suggest that moving forward that we consider the idea that solving things quickly was the answer here, and it was the right answer because it's the one we chose. But it may not be the right answer all the time. I would suggest trying to look into a policy, and then also trying to do some work around the idea that all the voices need to be heard in a way. Everybody that's here is winning because they're here and they're participating in a public, decent way. That's it. Thank you.
In Vancouver, but like some of the other staff here, I'm a teacher at Camas High School.
I was hesitant to speak up tonight out of concern that doing so may impact my own career goals as I'm working to become an empathetic educational leader whose focus is on creating caring climate, building mutual respect, inspiring learning for all, and developing character and life skills for students and staff. But here I am. At CHS, we talk about the core values that drive our work and decision making. My core values: integrity and justice. My integrity is compelling me to speak up against what I perceive as an injustice. In a matter of days, I witnessed firsthand the impact of hysteria, mob mentality, and vitriolic social media rants. I watched helplessly as these compounded, ultimately costing my colleague, mentor, and friend her job. As if that wasn't bad enough, her dehumanization played out on a national scale, affecting not just her career, but her safety and that of her family. I wish the community at large could recognize what many of us at CHS already knew, that this one snapshot is not indicative of her character as a whole. Since her arrival, she has worked tirelessly to reshape our CHS culture using an equity lens, engaging in difficult conversations that challenge the status quo, pushing toward more inclusive classrooms, and questioning her own privileges as a white woman. But as the events of last week came to a close, someone who was a champion for the underdog was ultimately silenced by the community she serves. Thank you for your time.
I apologize for coming late. I wish I could have heard the other comments, and I appreciate the ones that I did hear. And just reiterating that I as well was completely shocked by what happened so quickly, and I don't even know Dr. Sejkora, but it was with a sense of helpless anguish that I watched this eruption on social media, which shook me up quite a lot. And really, I just wanted to share that this seems to be the third such incident where here in Camas in recent months we've had social media driven behaviors that are very damaging. I know the former mayor was called all sorts of terrible things leading up to the election, and then we've had a downtown business that's, there's been this very direct, the Camas Post-Records reported on this very direct effort to put them out of business, again using social media, and then what happened with Dr. Sejkora. So I don't know if there's an opportunity for our community leaders to, I don't know how you begin to combat this really serious issue we have with how social media can be weaponized to really destroy people's lives. And it was heartbreaking to see what happened. I know everybody has been impacted in one way or another by what happened. Dr. Sejkora was one of at least 3 women that I'm aware of nationally that suffered death threats for bringing up this issue that the LA Times reported was a very complicated legacy. There's a reason why the legacy of the individual who passed away is it's like a very difficult issue for victims of sexual assault. The LA Times did this big piece on that I read that was pretty compelling. And the Washington Post reporter, as well as another journalist who's a good friend of Oprah Winfrey, these women are like coming under death threats, which it's just been kind of astonishing to watch. So that's my comment. I don't know moving forward what could be done, but hopefully if there's community support around some sort of dialogue, I'd really like to maybe see that happen. Maybe partnering with City of Camas, maybe downtown business, these entities that have been affected by this. Thank you.